Hey, how y'all doing today? Well, look, episode 3 was a really long episode. We went into a lot of detail about building a series box mod. So what I'm going to do is break episode 3 down into different portions. This clip out of the video right here is going to show you how to install magnets in your enclosure. And this could be used for any enclosure you use out there, any brand, any magnets. So I'll tell you what, let's get started. Okay, so you got your magnets, and magnets seem like such a small thing, but I'm going to show you how you can make this really easy. Now, if we had extra magnets, I'd show you a different way, but we've got exactly enough magnets to do this box, so we need to make sure we get our polarity right. So you don't want, positive sticking up, because your door actually repel instead of hooked together. So what we're going to do right here, I'm going to take these apart. I'm trying to get this where you can make sure. I'm just going to take these apart in the middle where they're at. I'm going to take a Sharpie, put an X right here on the bottom, and you will understand why we're doing this here in just a minute. So put an X on the magnet in the middle right there, okay? It's really important to keep up with that. Like I said, you'll understand exactly why in a minute. Now we're going to put our enclosure magnets in first, the smaller ones. So what you'll need, I like to use a nail, just something with a flathead on a screw works fine, any kind of piece of metal that you can hook a magnet to, because what we're going to do when we dip these in our epoxy that we mix up, we're going to use this to stick it in the box and then slide it off like this. Okay, you also want some kind of rag handy, because as soon as we get our magnets in, we're going to come back and just wipe off the extra epoxy, if there's any just really excessive here. So anyway, like I was saying in a couple of past videos, if you can get you a couple little clamps like this, can make things really handy, because every once in a while you put one of these magnets in, it'll try to back out, and what you can do is just grab it with a clamp and hold it down. There's nothing worse than getting all your magnets in, waiting on epoxy to dry, and then you realize you've got one raised up. It's really difficult to get those back right once you've done that. Let me zoom out a little bit here so you can see what all I'm doing. Okay, so as far as epoxy goes, I've got JB brand 5-minute epoxy here. Brand really doesn't matter, okay? So let me mix this up real quick. I'll say I think it's important to get like 5-minute epoxy. Look, you don't want something that's like 30-minute or hour or some shit, but you don't want anything that's instant either. Make sure you we're not going to put out a huge amount of epoxy here, so make sure you get good, even amounts of your hardener and your epoxy. Okay, let me get that screwed back on. We're going to mix this up here. I always just take piece of wire. I just have wire laying around, and that's what I use to mix up my epoxy. Make sure you mix it up well. That's another thing you don't want to do, is take your time putting your magnets in and find out you didn't get your hardener and epoxy mixed very well, and they push out of the box. Now that's better than getting something backwards or having your epoxy set up and your magnets not be flush, because you can just redo it, but still a pain in the ass. So just take time, mix it up, make your little pile here. So here's what we're going to do. Let me get going before my shit sets up. We're just going to take our nail to our small magnet right off the top, just like this. Dip this in the epoxy. What you want is just a little drip right on top, and as it's running down the side there, we're just going to press that in. You probably didn't see that too well, so I'll do it again. Take your next magnet, clip it off. There you go. Make sure they come right off of here. If you drop one, put it back on the stack of magnets, and make sure you got your polarity right. Wipe that off. So we'll just go right through that. There's another one. Wipe that one off. The last one for the enclosure. And zip that one right off. And now we'll start our door. So that's the reason we put our X here, so we can keep track. You want to flip this over and come off the end of this one, okay? The one with the X on it needs to be the last one, and needs to be turned down. Get that on there. Very important to keep these magnets straight. I'll say there is nothing more frustrating than getting a box built and realize you got one magnet on your box backwards. Trust me, I've been there. And sometimes, every once in a while, you get an enclosure that wants to be stubborn like this. I will show you how to deal with this one in just a second. Let me find something to tap this down with. I really should have had something here. Just gonna work that in, work it in. Okay, that one's kind of stuck. So our last magnet, make sure that your X is away from the nail, okay? That's gonna be the one that's kind of a pain because if you're holding it in your hand, you might have forgot which way you turned it. Okay, that magnet right there is being a little stubborn. I'm just gonna take something and mash it down, and there we go. What you want to do right now is take and look and make for damn sure all your magnets are set down in there really well. And we're just going to take a rag that I left over here on the other table while this epoxy is still wet, and we're just going to give everything a nice little wipe, okay? You don't want to use any acetone or anything right now. The problem with using acetone to wipe everything up right now, because we will use some acetone to final clean the box, okay, when we get done, but your epoxy's not hard yet. And when your epoxy's not hard and you put some acetone on a rag and you start wiping on these, the acetone can actually infiltrate in behind the magnets and cause your epoxy not to set up, because acetone will eat away at epoxy, especially when it's wet. Now later when it's dry, it's not a big deal because the acetone won't be able to infiltrate the holes there. But anyway, okay, we've got our magnets in. What we're going to do right now is set our box just over to the side. We're going to work on getting some other things together, and don't put your box too far away, okay? Leave it where you can see it right here out of the corner of your eye, so that way if you do have a little pocket of air or something that starts backing one of these magnets out, you'll see it. And like I say, if you have a magnet that's just kind of coming out that does give you any trouble, and you might from time to time, just put your little clamp on it or something like that. You could even take a flat piece of wood and put this down on it and put something heavy on top of it. It'll just hold it in there. Now with the door, it's a little bit different. You're going to have to kind of clamp those individually, or if you have extra magnets, what we usually do is just put a magnet on the back of it right here to hold pressure on this magnet. That works really well. Now, I don't have extra magnets for this project here because I brought just enough to do this with the house, but if you've got extra magnets, put one on the back, even if they're not coming out, to make sure they hold in there really well. Okay, I hope that helped you. Like I say, there's going to be more segments after this one, broken out of episode 3 to help you with smaller things, not an hour long. Anyway, hope this helps you with part of your box building experience. Yeah, like I always say, peace out, nomads.